Good evening, call to order the Board of Trustees work session for May 20th, 2024. First item is 160 South Central Avenue. Go on down.
Good evening,
Good evening.
board members. How's everyone doing? Good, thank you. My name is Christian Lanza, representing the Office of Lawless and Joint Architects and Engineers, and presenting the case for 160 South Central Avenue, follow-up meeting. I was told that there were no town of Greenberg comments, and county also didn't have any comments, right, Tony?
Yeah, so they had a comment letter which I emailed and put in the package for you. Their only comment was regarding New York State DOT review, which we can leave that up to the applicant to apply to DOT. I don't know if there's really there's no change in curb cuts.
We're not touching any.
There's
Correct.
slight increase in intensity of traffic, but I mean, we're not talking a whole lot there either.
Correct.
So I doubt the DOT would have a concern.
Is that common to have comments from the county? I don't recall that with other projects.
When a project exceeds, well, in this case, it was a square footage of the addition. Also, if you're on a state road and also
Oh,
if
okay.
you're in proximity to the town line. And we had the trifecta here,
Oh,
all
okay.
three of those, so.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Any questions?
Trustee Henry here for the agenda.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Trustee Coffey.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Trustee Evans.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Trustee Lopez.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Okay, now we'll do their architectural while they're here.
Last meeting. Okay. Only are sprinklers required in this type of structure?
We haven't gone to that part
Oh,
yet,
okay.
but the main hall is sprinkled, so I
Yeah.
believe the
We will
rest
be,
is gonna.
we will be installing sprinklers
Yeah.
in the building, in the addition.
Make the fire department very happy.
We'll definitely do that, no problem. We do that on almost every project that we do.
Trustee Enrique for the agenda?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Trustee Coffee?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Trustee Evans?
Yes, indeed.
Thank you, sir. And trustee Lopez?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. All right, you're all set. Just make an appointment with Tony and he'll do all the paperwork for you.
Excellent, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Have a good evening, thank you.
You too. 70 East Main Street?
Good evening. My name is Marco Maxi and I want to open the deli grocery in 70 Main Street. I'm waiting for the papers.
What do you predict your hours operation gonna be?
Breakfast normal like 6 a.m. to maybe 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. Depends on the business going.
7 days a week?
Yeah, yes.
How many employees are you gonna have? Do you think?
Might be 3, depends on the business. If you grow up, maybe more, maybe less. I hope not.
Hope more, yeah.
Yes,
Hope you
of
need
course.
20, right?
Yeah, should be nice.
But you'll start with 3. so.
This is your first store or do you have others elsewhere?
Right now I have a coffee shop on 600 Mamaro Avenue, Harrison. But the building, there want no more cafeteria inside the building. So I have to move it up my equipment from there. So that's why I'm looking for the place to put moving out there.
Just a funny story, a long time ago, many years ago, on the same side of the street as you, just down the street, we had a deli grocery called Max and Fred's. So.
Oh, okay.
Trustee Henry, okay for the agenda?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Trustee Coffee?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Trustee Evans?
Yes, and welcome to the village.
Yes.
Thank you very
sir.
much. Thank you.
Trustee Lopez?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Just make a call, Tony, make an appointment, he'll do all the paperwork with you.
Thank
Okay.
you very much, everyone. Thank
Good
you.
luck.
Thank you.
Okay, we all received the final draft. Is everybody okay with the additions and the changes in the book? Yeah,
I have a few things. I'd be lying if I said it's a few, it's actually a lot. Yeah. You may despise me within the next 20 minutes, but we'll we'll mend it. So to the top here. I'll just start with the first thing that's not here, that I think would be important. There needs to be some type of organizational chart, I think would be helpful to our employees. If this is to be a document that's supposed to help guide them as they come in, I think having a general understanding of what the organizational chart is and what the structure is, I think is important. To move on to page 304. It's page 300, 400, 305. The word attempt in the village will attempt to provide employees with performance appraisals. Why the word attempt? Is there a way we can just remove that to make sure that they actually are evaluated annually?
Legal jargon answer is because there could be
Like a natural disaster?
circumstances
Okay.
where it doesn't happen. Give you a perfect.
Okay. Okay. Page 306, and at the bottom it says 305. Do we have an employee improvement plan document? That would be under counseling. So it says where appropriate goals for improvement may be established along with the time frame for achieving them. Is there a form document that we're referring to, or is it just a general memo?
That would be a
Okay,
counselor,
beautiful. Okay,
so be very specific.
okay. Under investigations, where it says the village reserves the right to suspend an employee while an investigation is conducted, is that with or without pay?
That depends on their classification, depends on the violation. In most cases, in probably 99% of cases, it would be for pay for at least 30 days.
Okay,
And then like the employee, the union contracts. With they're more specific as well as section 75.
okay. Page 313, under 309 location of files. Where it says all original personnel records for current employees will be kept in village administrator's office. Is that where they're kept now?
Yes,
Okay. When we speak about payroll records, what's included in that?
the payroll records would be, all their like registration for payroll.
Okay.
Identifications, all of that stuff, anything to do with,
But there would be social security numbers realistically on these.
Correct.
Okay,
yes.
so under medical records, correct me if I'm wrong, the village clerk doesn't have a dedicated office, correct?
Correct.
So those medical records where those for security purposes are locked at all times, where are they locked?
They would be could be contained in two different places. Some of those records could be in my office or according to what the situation is. Most of those records are contained, so a general visit to the doctor's note would be in my file, in the general personnel file. Someone involved, like what the clerk really has is workers' comp files. So the workers' comp case is started, which then all the medical records having to do with that, she would have, and she does have those in locked cases by where she sits.
Are all of these records locked?
Yeah, I would say yes.
All right.
They're
The
either
only-
locked within my office, if they're in my office, or within the cabinets that she has.
Okay. And you and I would assume the treasurer, the only ones really with keys to access that, correct? You and the treasurer would really be the only ones with keys, and the village clerk with keys to access that.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, all right. The only reason why I asked is because it just said it was very specific in terms of medical records and substance testing records about locking, and that's why I asked about the personnel files as well, just to make sure that they were all under the same protection, so to speak.
What we don't get into here is, there's, in general, what you're talking about, there could be three sets of stuff. We don't get specifically in dividing that because there's cases where it may not be.
Yeah, my thing was as long as it's protected and there's not, easy access to those items, we're all good. Page 406. Should that read something else besides the Department of Public Works?
Where?
406, first paragraph,
Oh, I'm
employees in the Department of Public Works.
Missing. Procedures.
Let me scroll back up. No, 406 time records. So page 406, section 405. Second line. First sentence.
They're the, well, they're the only ones that have time cards.
We just don't have a department specifically called Public Works, correct?
No, well,
So
it
do
used
we-
to be. So that's really the highway department and the water department,
Okay,
and they do time cards. They're the only ones that do time cards, function time. So that, I can
Yeah.
make that more specific.
scrolling down to page 408, section 408. Should there be a sentence about something about unauthorized individuals being prohibited from operating vehicles? That are given to these individuals? I wouldn't want like John Doe's son getting behind the wheel, somebody hitting the vehicle or something like that. So it didn't speak as if there was any direct mention of other people operating the vehicles. I know it says that Ross remain under the general administrative jurisdiction and direction of the department head of which it is assigned. But that, I don't know if the average person is going to understand what in God's name that means.
Page 409 or 400/9,
You're going to go to the second to last bullet point, right?
no, third paragraph. Third bullet point. So if,
So I read that part. And
so that covers part of your,
so transporting, not, yeah,
Correct.
I'm thinking about like,
so I.
if they're transporting themselves.
And I'm going to use a word that you shouldn't use. I'm going to assume that if you can't transport, the person can't be transported, the person can't operate the vehicle. But I get your point.
I just don't trust people to have 1 + 1 always equal 2.
Yeah, probably should be more specific.
So what I'm going to try to do here is to address these without us having to come back.
Mm-hmm.
So somehow, not me, the attorneys will slide in here something that says to the effect that non-employees cannot operate and employees not necessarily drive without being authorized, something like that.
Perfect. Staying on page 408, that last sub bullet of that second bullet, those requests to use vehicles other than described should be presented to you for approval or denial, as everything else in this document states. So I think that was just an oversight because that one wasn't changed.
Which one? No.
The request to use the vehicle other than described last sub bullet of the second bullet. On page 408.
So you're talking where it says, it must report to the department head? That one?
No, where it says request to use vehicle other than described.
Oh,
For all intents and purposes, that should be you.
Okay.
Last question on this one. What is the consequence for failure to comply with the vehicle usage policy?
I would say it's, can be as general as, can't do that, no, we can't do this anymore, to counseling and, reprimand to termination.
Do we need to write that in your professional opinion? Okay. Page 411, section 411. I'll take feedback on this. One of these doesn't look like the other for cell phone payment. I'm not sure the sign replacement employee needs the cell phone payment.
Say that again?
The sign replacement employee would count as someone would require a cell phone payment. I mean, the rest seem to make sense. That one just seems odd. But I will take feedback from my colleagues on this one, if there's something I'm missing.
I'm missing what you're saying.
So under cell phone payment, it says village mayor, board of trustees, village administrator, department heads, assistant department heads, police detectives, fire department captains, and then sign replacement employee.
Correct.
I'm trying to understand why the sign replacement employee needs a cell phone payment or needs a village issued cell phone.
The current person has a village issued cell phone. And that's because that's the only way to get a hold of him when he's out working. And it's cheaper to do that than the reimbursement. And it was just put in place because the person, when we hired him, had that cell phone.
It's not a position that works daily though, am I correct? Okay. Page 416, section 413 under social media. We may either just want to eliminate the examples given under public social media networks or update them. As some of those just don't exist anymore. So there's no MySpace, there's no Flickr, Twitter has a different name. So I don't know if we want to update those or just eliminate that sentence altogether. But one of those, yeah, we either need to update those social media networks or delete that sentence.
Well, we
And
have been working on this for 2 years.
I know. And this is my last question. Before we get to the discussion points that I know you had in the document as well, under like bereavement leave and whatnot, but in terms of absences and call outs and things like that, where are we in the process of modernizing that so that there's something that they can do through Paylocity, or have we already gotten that, or is there a different mechanism by which we're using to be able to like request days off or things like that?
Currently, the current system is, in-house here is me, usually. Department head outside of here. There is a system with it, which has been pretty effective to some extent. There is a system within in Paylocity that can do that. We're nowhere near to implementing that.
Okay.
Part of the reason is probably half of our employees don't use the system. Don't take advantage of stuff that's in there. I'm gonna give you an example, and I'm gonna pick on Joe for a second. Joe's birthday was last week, and anniversary, yes.
Happy anniversary.
His work anniversary. So I get notices of those. So at the beginning of the month, I get a listing of everybody's birthday, everybody's anniversary. And also in my system, I have it calendared where, so like this morning, I got a notice about there's somebody's birthday is tomorrow. But with Joe, so there's, this thing comes in and you can click on it and it says, share message with Joe. So I did. And then I asked him, did you see my message? I said, no. Why not? Because he's not registered in the thing. So he can't see it. So I had to show it. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And then there's other people that just, they're not registered. I mean, I still have people that don't have direct deposit. We still have people, and I'm one to blame. I just started doing it a couple months ago where I don't get a paper voucher check anymore. You can select in the portal that you don't want that.
I'll be doing that when I get home.
And then you don't get it and you just look inside. Saves us paper, saves us envelopes, saves us time. So there is a function to do that, but we're a ways from doing that.
Okay.
How do you access that? Because I still get the paper. I don't need it.
So you go into Paylocity,
Yeah,
you need our account number, for lack of better, not account number, but our identification number.
right.
Then you have to register and you're good to go.
Oh, okay.
the-
We use ADP at Green Rock.
It's Paylocity. I can
Mm.
I'll send you the link along with the company ID.
Okay.
And then you just register and you're good to go.
That's all I've got. Thank you.
Trustee Lopez, did you have any?
Yeah, just one question before I forget. So every employee is gonna get one of those books.
Every employee, every regular volunteer, fire department, constables.
And they're gonna have to sign for the book, right?
Yes. They might not necessarily get a hard copy. It may be electronic. I haven't decided that yet. I only have one item that hasn't been
Go ahead.
solved here. Go into the book, we're now limiting the earning of comp time. It clarifies that it's overtime, which it was before, but it wasn't that in practice. So it's overtime at time and a half, but you can choose to get comp time up to a limit. Which brings me to what do we do with the people with comp time on the books now? We had discussed coming up with a plan to paying them out. Some have none, some have a lot. It's mostly the department heads. And coming up with a plan of paying them out or allowing them to carry it over to be used. You know, you gotta get to this point at this date, this point at this date, whatever. I need some guidance on what you want to do with that issue. In the current budget, I did, and I don't have everybody's numbers. I just went for some of the bigger numbers that I know are out there. I provided for some of the payout to be included in the budget, because if I didn't, you wouldn't be able to do it. I don't think, I'll give you my opinion, I don't think it should be all at once, obviously not. I think that possibly with some of the people, I should have the authority to just sit down and negotiate a deal with them. But also give a threshold of, you know, maybe 50% of what they have on the books now can stay there. With a plan of, it's got to get off the books in a couple of years. And also, if you have the hours that are more than what we're allowed, you can't earn anymore. So it's got to be, if you actually work overtime, I'm gonna stop saying comp time, it's just been drilled in my head. If you actually work the overtime, you're gonna get paid the overtime if it's on the books.
Yeah, we talked about it a couple of years ago, and it is only fair that people that had banked that, don't lose it. You know, they should definitely get paid for what they have. I'm sure if you talk to the people that had a lot of hours, they wouldn't mind getting paid over a couple of years. But yeah, they shouldn't lose it. That's not fair. You know, they're expecting to have that and then,
Now, I do know, I mean, I think he has since changed his mind, but I know I have one employee who really wanted to be able to keep comp time, because that's what he uses for, you know, time off, whatever, additional time off, but since that time, yeah, it kind of had a meeting of the minds where it can't continue that way. You know, Steve will tell you, I mean, you guys are limited now, right? CSEA is limited now. And I think the way Steve is, once they get to that limit, they're notified, you know, that it's now gotta be automatic. Right, it's gotta be automatic payout. But with them, we didn't have any issue because it was already limited. So I guess what I would ask is that, okay, we're gonna enforce what's in here now. And then with the buyouts, let me kind of do them individually, and if there's issues, then I'll come back to you to get your authority. If not, give me the leeway to fix this thing.
Is there a significant number?
No,
you mentioned the part about where if somebody is over the limit now, that they can't earn anymore. Well, what about a grace period in there? Because I'll make a number up totally arbitrarily. Somebody's got 100 hours banked. It's gonna take a long time, like let's say you paid it over a couple of years or something, and that person won't, you know, is still working because they have to work. Will they be able to get paid for the time rather than bank the comp time?
they're gonna have to get paid.
That's what I mean. As long as they're gonna get paid for it,
Yeah, people
yeah,
now are
that's
gonna
fine.
get paid overtime.
even if they're over the limit.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Oh, yeah, they have to.
That's fine.
Yeah, we can't.
As long as, yeah, you don't want to, yeah, that's what I mean. You don't want to.
I mean, and the other thing that occurred in the past is, you know, the policy said overtime. But it was treated as you could only get comp time, which you can't do. You can't do that. That was actually one of the reasons why we started this. We started this a long time ago, and then it kind of just dropped off. It was to try to fix that problem, and it was first, it needed to be fixed with the CSEA and PBA, which we did. So the next step was the non-union. But no, absolutely, they have to get paid.
Yeah, you know.
And the other issue over the years was the issue of single hours as opposed to time and a half, and it's time and a half.
Mhm. So do you want to redo that and come put on next agenda, or do you want to, or do you think you have enough to explanation to?
Here's what I would rather have you do. I would rather have you approve this tonight, if you're so willing to, with changes he made. And then let me deal with that, and if we need to amend it, we'll amend it, because the other thing I'm gonna ask you to do is, this isn't made effective tonight. It should be June 1st, but I also don't know if, what I kind of want to do is have it ready to roll out when it goes into effect. What I'm saying? And I don't know if I have enough time to do this, finalize it, get it printed and or in a electronic by June 1st. I actually want to look at the days, because I get, you don't know what I got going on. right
June
now.
1st is Saturday.
What's that?
June 1st is a Saturday.
It can't, right now. So busy, taxes, water, taxes. Audit,
Two.
salary schedules. So here's what I'm thinking. Let's make it effective June 1st. And at a minimum, minimum, I'll have PDFs out to people that I have by email, then provided to the department heads to provide to their staff who I don't have emails for. With like a listing that they sign or whatever. And then we'll go, we'll probably shoot for the hard copies, a month later, if around that. And then, like, within that time period, I should have a better understanding of what I'm talking about with the overtime issue, with the comp time issue. And the consultant that that helped us do this will be very happy that we brought this to a conclusion.
Trustee Henry, you okay with those?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Trustee Coffee?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Trustee Evans? Thank you, sir. And Trustee Lopez? Thank you, sir.
On this issue, well, not to belabor this, but I also want to point out, which, and I give them credit for doing it. The fire department had reached out to me about providing some information with regard to insurances that we provide everybody, so they can get all their people up to speed, and when they recruit people, they can let them know, which is a great idea, and we're getting on that. But one of the things that they also talked about was training for some various personnel types of things, workplace violence, et cetera, et cetera. So actually I finalized a conversation this is Live Oak, not the fire department per se, it was Live Oak that checked it out with me. And I said that, we're rolling, we just are finishing this, hopefully this gets adopted tonight because some of those things change. So I didn't want to give them out something that was going to be dated. And then at the same time, I'm looking for and actually working first with our insurance company to provide training. And the training would hopefully be online. And that would include the fire department, everybody. So that kind of worked out that they are in that thinking that way.
Department of Labor also offers those type of classes,
Yes.
because we've had them for the fire department in the past.
I did, I pointed this out I'm talking to Alvin about it. These guys will remember a couple of years ago, we did in-house, we did the workplace violence and the sexual harassment, and I did the training. Based on Labor Department in-house training guidelines. Don't want to do that again.
You mentioned the fire department approach about this, or was it just Alvin?
It was Live Oak who approached me about it.
So it's not a fire department.
But we're going to incorporate it. It's going to have to be everybody.
Motion to adjourn the work session? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.